Hey, welcome back, guys, to Fast Guard News. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Dwight Gibson. I'm sitting here with Roderick Payne. How you doing today, man?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I wanted to talk today about content creators and if they need security, and if you feel they do, why they should have it.
Well, I think that that's a unique deal because content creation is relatively new. You got somebody that can go from being like kind of like nobody in the public eye to being somebody,
Right.
like overnight basically. And sometimes that brings out fans. Sometimes depending on what you're putting out on the internet, are
Right.
you argumentative? Are you controversial? Are you doing things that may attract drama? You have to be weary of the glory hounds, the people who run around looking to go viral. And
So expound on that a little bit when you say a glory hound.
well, you're Dwight Gibson, the host of Fast Guard News, right? We see you on the internet. You have millions of followers. That person will walk by you thinking, oh man, Dwight Gibson's by himself. I'm gonna punch him in his face and go viral. This is my moment. Like you don't know what people are thinking because unfortunately that's a lane too. You have some people that are, I don't know, crash dummies, and that's something that I guess people. There was a kid that did the run on the internet. I don't know if you remember that. He went on the run after doing like a robbery or something, and this is part of social media. Like all of this stuff is going on. So for the content creators, they come from all walks of life. Some walks a little different than others, Some content creators don't have clothes on. And imagine the type of fans they attract out in public by themselves. So, is there a market for that particular type of protection, which is bodyguard service?
Right.
I think so. I think that content creators all should have bodyguards.
Okay. So we've determined that content creators should have private security. So what unique challenges does a content creator face that, say, a quote unquote normal celebrity wouldn't face? Like, what's the difference between being a bodyguard or a personal security guard for a content creator versus a famous actor or a famous athlete?
Well, I mean, in most cases, like a famous athlete or a famous actor's life would be a little bit more structured, right? If you're an athlete, you're at practice, and you got games, you have different things that you got to do, and you have essentially a boss that kind of governs where you're at, what you're doing. You can't just do anything all day. A content creator, on the other hand, can do basically whatever they want all day, and we're talking about the people who actually make money from content creation. Like, there's a lot of entry-level people who want to be famous and want to look famous. We're talking about the people who actually bringing in a paycheck. You have to always look at every business should dedicate a portion of what they're doing towards the security of their business, and essentially that's what a bodyguard service does.
So a content creator that's structured, that's bringing in high amounts of revenue, they would have a manager. They should have security as a priority. So if they are taking it serious, what should a content creator look for when hiring private security?
They want to look for somebody that understands that you're famous because you're in front of a camera. Immediately when people see you, they're going to pull out their cameras and start recording you. Make sure that you understand how to disperse a crowd. Make sure you understand how to move. Make sure you're not going to agitate something. Remember, a proper bodyguard is going to de-escalate. Their de-escalation techniques are going to be, next to none. They're going to try to move their client away from any type of danger. So a real bodyguard's not going to sit there and do kung fu on somebody. You want to take your client and get them out of harm's way as soon as possible to try to prevent your client from getting hurt. That's what you're there for. I think that's part of the training that you would want that type of person to have is just know how to treat people, know how to deal with this type of celebrity because again, depending on what you're shooting, might be a bunch of kids running up.
Right.
You got to handle that totally different than you would like. Imagine Taylor Swift's bodyguard, and we're talking about a gigantic celebrity, but like look at what happened with Kai Cenat in New York. I think he announced. Through his Instagram or his TikTok, whatever it was, that he was going to be in New York in the area, and a bunch of kids showed up, like 2,000 kids showed up, and I think he had one guard with him, like a bodyguard. One, I believe, one, maybe two, but 2,000 kids in the middle of the street, and this wasn't an area set up with stanchions and stuff like that to keep people in a certain place.
So in that scenario, if this particular content creator didn't have adequate security and the large crowd of people generated from his presence caused loss or damage that resulted in financial loss for either individuals or businesses, could he be personally liable?
100%. I think they did find him liable in some of those cases. I think it's still ongoing. I didn't really dive into the research on it, but it's a lot. You don't know what type of famous you are yet, right? So you just gotten famous, and you just gotten to a point where you have people that want to see you. Once you create that type of excitement, like it's like seeing, like you said, a professional athlete or a movie star. People are watching you, and so immediately the camera comes out. So that any mistake you make is now being recorded. How you react to that stardom. People don't have proper training. At least maybe movie stars go through some type of prepping, like, hey, you were just in a blockbuster movie that's up for an Oscar. People are going to go crazy when you see them. You got to move like this. You need private drivers to take you here and there.
So the larger your online presence becomes, the more of a need for private security you have.
Oh, yeah, you'll know. When the biggest thing I think a lot of these content creators do is events. And if you're doing an event and, tickets sell out and there's 20,000 people, you should know that you're going to need some type of security. So a good security personnel would advise their client, like, hey, you're about to do a giveaway online. Let's think about this for a second. Let's maybe move this to a location where we can control interactions from clients, where we control how many people are coming in or out.
See, I'm glad you said that when you said a good security person. So in your opinion, what are the qualities or characteristics that these individuals or their managers should be looking for to, quote unquote, hire a good quality private security director?
Well, I used to say, experience, but I mean, to deal with celebrities, you don't need a bunch of experience. You just need to understand what your job is. I think part of what I look for is people that pay attention to detail, people that aren't really you want people that are kind of jumpy a little bit to do that type of job, because if you get people that are way too lax, they're going to be doing something else when you really need them. Remember, this person's paying attention for you so you don't take a loss, so you don't get hurt.
So you need someone that's proactive.
And
that
sure.
is ready to hop into action at a moment's notice.
Correct.
Right, because the goal is to avoid conflict or problems. So they need to be able to see past what's there and be able to determine what could possibly happen.
Correct.
And be able to prevent all of those situations.
Again, those oh shit, it's Dwight Gibson guys are out there. Are you going to take a chance with your newfound stardom and the new money that you're making to now get into a situation where you got to try to survive a fist fight in the street, and people are going to record it and say if you get knocked out, that shit going to be on film. And you got to think about, is that how you want to be represented?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, if you making some money, pay for security. It is going to benefit you. There are many reasons why, some people can't handle celebrity. Think about like when MJ was out, Michael Jackson. People were fainting at concerts.
People were quitting their jobs to get a glimpse of them walking into the courthouse.
Exactly. I mean, when we're looking at what celebrity means for everybody, we have to understand that you might be a gamer and you might be like a introvert and you stay in the house all day and you don't have a whole lot of exposure. you go to a certain gaming conference or a certain competition and people show up and they go crazy. What do? You might be a creator on some of these other tube sites where you're a female and guys see you and they can't control themselves and they just want to talk to you. All of these situations could happen. Why not be safe? We make an affordable option to make sure that we can get you the cover you need. Now, good service is not cheap. Let's be real. But we'll make something affordable for what you're trying to do. We get a lot of people that call in and that want, can I get an hour? Can I get 2 hours? I mean, sure, we'll make something to work for your schedule, for what you're doing. We want everybody to feel protected.
So good service is not cheap, and cheap service is not good. Remember that. That's important.
That's for damn sure.
So we've determined that content creators definitely have a need for security, and they should definitely consider hiring security. We've pointed out what some of the characteristics are that they should look for. Do you have any personal experiences or things that you've seen that where if said individual had security, things could have turned out different?
Well, I think about Pop Smoke. God rest the dead. It's you look at what's going on. How did that young man lose his life over a posting? I think it was on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't know the whole details of what happened. I remember it was something along the lines of he posted a location.
He was showing that somebody sent him like a present. I think it was some jewelry, and showed the numbers of where that house is at. Somebody recognized it, and they came for sure. So you think about how dangerous that is.
And he didn't have security? Do we know that?
Yeah, well, I don't know. He didn't. I think he had some of his friends there.
Okay.
No security. And a lot of people don't want to hire security. I get it. You got, again, some of these people who they're just starting a bubble, and the little money they make, I want to hold on to it. You want to look the part too. You want to come in and make sure you're protected, make sure you move in the correct way, because you want somebody to watch your back. Essentially, when everybody, all eyes are on you, like you show up to an event, like I've never had that happen. I don't know if you've had that happen, but you show up to an event and everybody at that event was waiting to see you. Right. And now it's hard to see who the people are that are looking at you, looking to hurt you, and maybe looking grimacing, and the obvious people that want to hurt you. Right. You can't see that when all eyes are looking at you and all cell phones are just up in front of somebody's face. It's hard to see the wolves out there. So that's what you want a bodyguard for. That's their job. You go do whatever you're supposed to be doing, and then the bodyguard is on your.
So we know there's multiple character traits that will be required to be considered an excellent bodyguard. But if there's one trait in particular or characteristic in particular that you would say is important in choosing a guard, what would you say that is?
It's not even knowing how to fight. It's knowing how to move your client to get them away from potential danger. That's it. You need to be able to be proactive, to see what's coming. You need to know what potential, where your potential exits are. You need to be able to move your client, get your client out of there. I don't think I've ever, no, I would consider those guys unsuccessful. The guys like Future's bodyguard, when he got knocked out, I think they were in New Zealand or somewhere out of town, and a group of guys jumped on him.
That was Rick Ross, wasn't it?
No, that happened with Rick Ross. That with his people, and you see your people get worked with Future's people. They knocked the guy out. They were working him, and so you see these things happen, and it's like that's a nightmare scenario because now you got a man down, and you're supposed to be protecting the client. So I don't see guys that get into fights. Sometimes you have to. But you got to be willing to, you got to know how to end that real quick.
But the goal is to avoid that at all costs.
You want to avoid that at all costs. And you can't shoot everybody. So it's not like you got a bodyguard and anybody steps in front of you is not going to get shot. So remember that.
How do you select the guys here at FastGuard that handles that particular part of security for our clients? How are they selected, and what do we do to provide these highly trained individuals to be able to do exactly what we're talking about here on this show?
I mean, first we read the resumes. We go off resume heavy, right? But next we go out to the gun range and let's see how you move. Let's see what do you do in this scenario during the conversation? Okay, what if you had to move a client point A to point B, there's a big crowd, this and that, what would you do? To see what their rationale is, because sometimes, believe it or not, you have guys that have dealt with some very high level people and they work security for everybody. But there's a reason nobody keeps them. It's because they may look the part, they may walk the part sometimes, but they really just don't get it. And so, you ask questions scenario based to try to figure out who's the best fit for it. You get guys, I want to hear your plan. Okay, you're supposed to take this person from point A to point B. Break down your plan. How are you going to move? What are you going to do? What do you look for? And a lot of guys can't put a route together. A lot of guys don't know what to do if somebody starts shooting, because essentially you're there for that. This is why essentially our past president, Donald Trump, when he got shot at out there, people criticized, Secret Services movements. They got counter snipers, they got the best of the best.
Right.
Why did it take so long? Why was this guy able to get off so many shots? Because people's expectation is that the bodyguards are going to be, the protection team is going to be proactive.
Right.
And in that case, they just weren't. Somebody climbed up there, took a shot. That's a public speaker. That is essentially like a celebrity for our purposes here. That's a celebrity. And this is the Secret Service, the top of the top. So accidents can happen with anybody. What do you put into your safety? How do you want to protect yourself?
Right.
So.
All right. Well, that wraps up our segment here today, guys. Thank you for joining us. And if you're in the market for private security, Fast Guard service, we can get a guard anywhere in the nation in 4 hours or less. Talk to you soon. Have a good day.
Y'all have a nice one.